Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Star Trek Fantasy League, hosted by Dominion Media Television. I'm joined here with Tiger Mike, and we are going to be going over the very first episode of season 4 for Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. How do you pronounce the name of this episode, Mike?
Valles Marinera,
Valles
I think. It is the
it's
transmittable.
Valles Marinera. That's exactly what it is, 100%.
Yeah, Valles Marineris.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she says it in the episode, and I'm pretty
Valles
sure it's just
Marineris.
Valles
Yes.
Marineris. And because Martians apparently speak great English.
Actually, and I find
know
it
it's
funny
the
that
universal
Martians,
translator, but still.
Martians have an English accent.
Yeah. Well, and who knew that? I'll tell you, the one thing that I'm glad they didn't do was somehow tie the Vulcans into the Martians, because they
Notice
have pointy
that
ears
they did have the
and they're
pointy
very
ears.
reasonable.
They are very reasonable.
So
yeah, before we dive into the scores for this episode, let's talk about the episode a bit. What did you think? Let's start with our scale of 1 to 10. Or how many?
all right, so
how many
I'm gonna give it an
destroyed
8.
planets do you give this one on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm gonna give it 8 planet-destroying asteroids out of 10, because I mean, it's funny because like the episode, it was doing this half the time for me, where it's
Really?
like, because I mean, not to say that any of the scenes were disappointing, right? But I'm thinking, where is this episode going? What are the writers going to do? What adventure are we on this time? I'm a very cerebral guy, and I'm always thinking about those kinds of things when I'm watching a TV show or a movie, and analyzing what the writers end up doing, right? And so depending on what I'm watching, that can scale differently, where it's like, okay, this is a shitty B movie, Street Fighter 1994, which was just reviewed over on
Last time on.
Last Time On. There we go, which we just did Last Time On. Reviewed. I was guest over there. That was a lot of fun.
That was
And
fun.
so I'm looking for how bad is this, and what gems can I find inside this turd of a movie, right? But when I'm watching something like Strange New Worlds, that's a much higher standard. So where I'm going here is the episode, there was no clue to this episode in the previews or anything that said this is going to be a time travel episode, right? We did get the T-Rex shot in the trailer,
Yeah.
but I just kind of put that as T-Rex like being on another planet, because why not?
Yeah.
And so having them go 65 million years into the past was kind of like, at first it's that, we're doing time travel again. But then it's like, oh, but it's time travel to the Sol system, and there's 3 habitable planets in it. Well, that's kind of interesting, because, of course, leave it to Star Trek to steal all my good sci-fi ideas. But having a 5th planet that was habitable, that it was destroyed and ruined a habitable Mars, totally isn't something that I've written into a story or anything like that.
Really?
Yeah.
We're talking fan fiction or a short story? What details
yeah,
here?
I'm kind of creating a whole sci-fi universe around certain things, and that is one of the elements. There's a little bit more to it.
Yep.
We can get into that in another time if I ever actually get back to writing it. But it is a really cool idea, and I think that's why I'm writing it. But so it was kind of just like, oh man, you guys are kind of like, for me, it's a little disappointing in that I'm just like, okay, not even that I was writing something like that, but to me it just seems like, all right. And not that any of that idea is original. Like, I didn't come up with that idea. You know what I mean? That's something that, especially for the last 100 years or so, people have been talking about ever since Alexander Sitchin was, did the Sumerian tablets. He translated the Sumerian tablets supposedly, but he translated them very poorly, and it's been basically all written off as inaccurate at this point. But they're, that's where Nibiru and a lot of these other,
that's where
kind of
those
Planet X or extraplanetary things.
Yeah, this is the shit they talk about on the History Channel with that guy with the
Right,
hair. Yeah.
exactly. So none of these ideas are particularly original. Habitable Mars, that's I did like the explanation for the Valles Marineris.
Pretty lit.
I thought that was pretty cool. And I did like the Martians. I did think not having warp travel, but having phasing technology is a bit of a doesn't really make sense.
I dig it.
But I guess theoretically, certain advances can be made differently, so I think if they put that kind of effort in there, then sure, it's reasonable. I'm not saying that but I thought that was a little funky, but it served the purpose of the story that they couldn't have warp drive. Otherwise, they'd have antimatter torpedoes that could have blown up the planet themselves. So, they had a different kind of tractor beam that was totally foreign to, and I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, I liked the hentai tractor beam. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, the hentai tractor beam. There was one thing, and I'm trying to see if I can remember it real. Oh, right. So I happened to see in a Google clickbait headline that I was like, you know what? That's a really interesting point, but you're not gonna get me. But it was about how this episode calls back to the Voyager episode of the distant origin theory of the Saurians.
Yeah.
Which now we can sit there and contemplate, did the Saurians reverse engineer the insectoid technology? Of course, the name of their planet, what was it again?
The Doldrums.
Doldrum. It hasn't left my head for the last like 3 days. All of a sudden it's missing when I need it. The Doldrum. So did they reverse engineer the Doldrum ships that had crashed? Or did that spurn a technological advancement for them to be able to say, oh shit, we can actually get off the planet with this technology, but we can't go to warp with it, which is why they had to make a generational, however many generational ships and just yeet themselves out into the galaxy because Mars was now decimated and was dying. But clearly there's about 1 million years maybe of space there for them to evolve into the Voth that we know them as. Because they could still have been, a less intelligent species, or do we think that the raptor that La'an punched could then have evolved into the Saurians? I know that
if she hadn't punched that fucking Velociraptor, it was about to talk to her.
She rubbed her DNA on it and the augment DNA.
No. I think Velociraptors are a lot smarter than we thought. And it was about to talk to her. It was about to be like, excuse me, ma'am, are you looking for antimatter? Because I have some over here.
Yeah, right. Hey, turn on your universal translators, dick. I'm trying to talk to you. And you just punch me in the face.
Fine.
Fuck you. You don't want the help, you don't get no help.
Well, I loved this episode. I give it a 10. I give it a 10 out of 10. I loved the whole vibe. Just the whole, I can't even explain into words how, just the feeling. I love it. Like I feel like this is what I would feel if I was living in the 60s and watching Star Trek the original series for the first time. That sense of awe and wonder. Like, I love the idea of sixth, another planet that we didn't know about, that existed before humans. And I love the idea of species that have space travel 65 million years in the past. They've talked about stuff like that before, like in TNG. They hinted at massive empires like the Takan and the Iconians that were colonized huge regions
Even the
of space.
Iconians weren't that old. The Takan Empire, I think, was a couple million, like a handful.
I want to say
4 to 6.
One of them was 500,000, like 500,000, 600,000 years prior.
I think that's the Iconians.
Well, I just in Star Trek Resurgence they make a lot of references to it, and I just recently
if you're watching, let us know in the comments because we know that Some of you out there know exactly how many million years ago it was, according to data. So
I love that they explored this period of time that is just totally unknown, and
yeah.
it's the essence of Star Trek. And then, the causality, grandfather paradox, that it's because the fucking Enterprise wiped out two
So
species
here's the
and
question.
caused humanity. That's
Here's the
pretty awesome.
question, right? We need to ask ourselves, this isn't any ordinary predestination paradox. It really couldn't have been, and it feels like something out there made this happen.
You think
Right?
it's Q fucking with Pike to be like,
Okay,
hey,
well, I had this thought, right? And no, I don't want it to be Q. I don't want that. But I had this thought, the next generation, Q handholds Picard so much and the rest of the crew when it's necessary. But really, Picard is he's the voice who's inspiring a lot of these thoughts, especially in all good things, where he's really giving Picard a heavy hints of what he's doing and basically telling him what he needs to do the whole time until Picard is able to get a grip in each reality to say, oh, okay, this is what's going on and what we need to do about it because Q told me, right?
it's like what happens when you're playing a video game and it's just being it's as the arrow's pointing
Navi,
this way.
Hey, listen, idiot, you gotta go to Death Mountain. That's where you gotta go. All right, but so versus this was a very intuitive moment for Pike where he thought on his own, wait a second, there is no fifth planet. We know it's gone at some point, and we had no idea. So how long ago did that? And in the moment, to just instinctually be like, no, we need to let this happen. So, and I guess there was maybe the hint that the explosion of the planet was the cause of the storm they were investigating in the future at the beginning of the episode. So that explosion somehow triggered whatever solar interaction that caused that solar storm that was going on that they were investigating, which was such a unique thing to ever be recorded, right? So I guess that, but also I just think it would be so much more, and again, getting back to the cue of it all, is that is a real test of humanity with no help.
Yes.
And Pike passed.
I feel like
colors.
that moment with Pike was something really unique to his character, because if this had been Picard, or this had been Kirk, or especially if this had been Picard, they would have had a couple hours worth of meetings discussing this before they do anything. But I just love that it was spur of the moment. That he had just seconds to make a decision, and he just went with his instincts, and which I am totally 100% against. If you're actually in a leadership position, to just go with your gut, because studies have shown people who trust their gut, you're just as likely to flip a fucking coin. All right, don't listen to your gut. Analyze shit and make a logical goddamn decision, okay? But anyway, that's beside the point. But for TV, it's great.
Yeah, right. I have to sit there and think that Picard would have made the same choice, right? I don't think Sisko would have made the same choice. I don't know if Kirk would have made the same choice, but I'm also pretty confident Janeway would have made that same choice.
Here's what I think would have happened. Kirk would have seduced the Martian captain.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, for sure.
Picard would have tractor beamed that torpedo, or found a way to stop it, non-violently.
I don't think so.
Sisko would have blown up the the Martian ship.
Yeah. Sisko, well, he certainly would have blown up the torpedo, the antimatter torpedo.
Yeah. And Janeway would have somehow
Janeway would have crashed the ship into it.
Yeah.
She's always ready
Janeway
to blow
would have
the
wiped
ship
out the
up.
entire
Any
solar
excuse
system.
to blow the ship up, she will take it. Hey, there's coffee in that nebula. We're going to blow up the ship for it, guys. No, but here's the reason that I don't think Picard would have stopped it, and I think he would have made the same choice, is because every single time that they come up with a predestination paradox, Picard comes to the conclusion that we cannot second guess our decisions. We have to go as if time is moving forward and we don't know any, like,
See, and
we don't know what's going to cause this destruction.
That
so we're not
reasoning
guess.
would have caused him to. I think that exact line of reasoning is why he would interfere.
He
and
would have had that
it.
same thought in the moment, because Pike did it all the way up to the last second. He was gonna stop them, and then he was like, "Wait a second!" There, in his mind, he's going, "There is no fifth planet," and I think that would have dawned on Picard too, to say,
I would agree to disagree
I don't think
here.
This is the move to make.
No, I let's agree to disagree on this one, because I think he would have stopped the genocide of this fifth planet, created an alternate fucking universe, and then gone.
Picard is always the first person to sit there and, like, I mean, yeah, it's because it's not just a paradox in time, it's a paradox in protocol, right? Because it's directly against the Prime Directive to allow Mars to destroy this planet. The Prime Directive would say, you need to stop these guys at all costs. But because it was the Sol system and they're dealing with their own history, Pike had a, for lack of a better word, sixth sense, because he's had so much experience.
He has had
with
some
time
wibbly
travel
wobbly,
bullshit.
timey-wimey bits going on.
I think there are periods of time, and this is true for any officer, in which Picard would have stopped it. And I think that's maybe in the first 2 seasons of The Next Generation. But I think after meeting Q, and especially after season 7's finale, All Good Things, he would make the right decision, just like Pike would.
Older
I
Picard,
think,
yeah.
because he evolved a lot in those 7 years.
So you're saying post TNG Picard would have sided with Pike?
I would have made the same decision. Yeah. I think that's at the very least, because that's after he's had that experience to say, okay, this is, there's a lot of time paradoxes I've had experience with, and what's going on here seems too convenient to stop. But, who knows? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. What do you think? And I think we should make this a recurring segment of when Pike or another commanding officer makes a major decision, what would the next generation, what would Riker do in Spock's place? Right? What would Chakotay do? He would have Kuchimoya the shit out of that. Let me go ask my spirit animal.
The only...
Right, I'm not trying to be offensive to Indians, Native Americans, but Chakotay as a character felt very offensive to Native Americans. So I feel like we can rip on him all we want. But anyway.
I will gotta say, the only real complaint the episode is at the end when they time travel back to present time, and the camera shows that they warped out just a split second before the Chicxulub asteroid would have hit the Enterprise, and then it hits the Earth. There's a problem with scale here. Like, it's gonna. Well, how long does it take? Right. How long does it take to get to the moon? Like a couple days, how long it takes to get to Mars? We're talking a few months, and we're talking past Mars.
We have to give it that movie magic time.
Yeah, it's the hand wavy thing.
Right,
it wouldn't have looked as cool.
We're not going to sit around for the literal decades it would take this object to hit Earth. We don't have time for that. We have 30 seconds here, okay? So that's how... And I don't like that they keep using the warp zip sound for things that are not warp zip. They didn't go to warp. Right? In either case, they were trying to escape this vortex, and it fucking sucked them in. And, at least that's how it happened at the beginning. How it happens at the end is a little bit more ambiguous. But, like, those are the kinds of loose things that I'm like, guys, you just put, like, fucking 10 more minutes into it and give it, like, some vortexy sound instead of a warp zip and spin the ship. I have to say, probably my favorite shot of this episode is when the Martian ship lets go of the Enterprise, and the Enterprise just rotates right into the camera. That was a great shot. And it showed how, that inertia is working after a ship lets go of its tractor beam and it's not under its own power.
It was very The Expanse. That's the way they did it.
Yeah. And then for the end of the episode to be like, and then they got enough energy and warped it. It's like, what the fuck? Just come on, guys.
That was another big hand wavy thing.
Energy.
That was another big hand wavy moment where Spock's all just like, wait a minute, we can harness this explosion.
It's quantum entanglement. Shouldn't there be some like fucking take it from Marvel, guys? Do some like crazy resizing through a portal fucking shit. The warp. Anyway, I don't want to complain about it too much. I did really enjoy the episode. I really did. I'm really interested in this Martian culture that they kind of just they did a really good job of presenting who these Martians are in the very short time. And then you're like, okay, what were the Doldrum about? Were they intelligent? Were they just infectious? Were they malicious? Were they like, well, we can't talk to these guys and we don't recognize them as our form of life, so fuck them, they're in our way. There's a lot there, but because of it would just be really interesting to get some kind of a series of episodes, a mini series about who these guys were, but now they're blown up. So why do we care?
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the Fantasy League scores. So I have my spreadsheet here, and there's a couple of points I wanted to go over with you to determine whether or not we need to award or penalize some points here. So starting going in alphabetical order here, for Christine Chappell, she didn't do a whole hell of a lot this episode. She used a pad on camera once for 5 points. I didn't have anything really for her, although I did give everyone who was on the Enterprise 100 points for time traveling. Because pretty much everyone except Commodore April got 100 points for time traveling.
No Kirk. Kirk didn't get no points for time traveling.
Yep, Kirk was not in this episode, so he does not get those points. Jim
this
Kirk,
Fantasy League is brought to you by cannabis. No, it's not.
Captain Pike, he got 20 points for doing the opening captain's log. He rode a horse, which is his signature thing. So 100 points for his. He got his special points for that. Got him using a communicator for 5 points at the beginning. He transported. That was 20 points. He had a drink, 5 points, and then time traveling, 100 points for that. So that brings his total to 250. Commodore April, again, barely in the episode. The only point where
he held a drink.
He had. I did catch him actually drinking the drink, so he got those 5 points. Moving on to Ortegas, she piloted the shuttlecraft, 20 points, and
she for those ship.
Okay, listen, for Ortegas, that's her job. She flies the ship every episode. I'm not going to give her points.
And she says it every fucking chance she gets.
Yes, she flies the ship. All right, but there's a specific category of points, point scoring for flying a shuttlecraft, which she got. So she did get that. But I know I'm going to hear it from everyone in the comments saying, but Ortegas flew the ship. Yes, that's her job. Okay.
Yeah, no, she doesn't get points for
for doing what you're supposed to do in the first place. Yeah. So anyway, so she got 20 points for that. She used a communicator on the planet. That was 5 points, and she got 100 points for time traveling. 125 point total for Ortegas. Dr. Mbenga didn't do much either. He was transported at the beginning. He used the tricorder for 10 points, and he got the 100 points for time traveling. Dr. Mbenga, 130 points for this episode. Now, Lon.
We should consider, I'm not saying that we should change it for this episode, but when we're reviewing Star Trek episodes, when a doctor crosses fields to be a therapist too, which he does a little bit of in this episode with some unsolicited advice.
But I was almost going to dock him points for the comment he made to Lon about saying, hey, you're not going to take over the galaxy now, are you? That's fucked up, dude. That's a little insensitive.
Her response is I don't know.
Yeah.
What if Lon becomes a villain in this season?
We're definitely.
Anything goes. She
I
could
think
totally.
that is foreshadowing at a lawn-centric episode about her.
We're gonna get something about Khan.
So rounding out Lon's points, she was transported for 20 points. She flirted with Spock for 5 points. Shot a phaser on the plan of the away team, 15 points. Punched a fucking velociraptor. I want to give her.
Punch him right in the mouth, dude.
It is 5 points. Our scoring legend has 5 points for hand-to-hand combat.
What about a hand-to-dinosaur mouth combat?
Yeah.
That is a whole.
That's what I'm
other
thinking.
level.
There is a bonus. There's a 20-point bonus for kicking ass, and I think she deserved. She punched a fucking velociraptor. That should earn her the bonus. You agree?
I agree.
Give her 25
wholeheartedly.
Because in any other case,
it has nothing to do with the fact that I have her on my team or anything. But
well,
I can't win anyway,
you
gang.
can't win
so don't
anyway.
worry
Yeah,
about
so,
that. I can't win.
But yeah, there's a 20-point bonus for kicking ass. So if this had just been a regular red shirt goon in the background, no bonus. But it's a fucking velociraptor. So
yeah, she punches a fucking raptor in the face, dude.
Yeah.
In the mouth face.
In the mouth face. Then she gets 100 points for time traveling, and at the end of the episode, she has a drink. So that brings her total to 170 points.
Now, should we take a moment to theorize, does La'an, what is causing her changes, right? Like, is it all this time traveling that she's been doing? Is it, what's been going on with La'an? Maybe it's some of that Spock seed is getting in there and making some genie weenie changes in there. I don't know, but what do you guys think? What's causing this change with La'an, and where do you think it's gonna go?
I think it just has to do with her dormant genes. It's just her age. It's just like as she gets older, the recessive genes activate. I don't think it has anything to do with her getting angry or fighting.
She's getting early onset menopause, so she's becoming, her hot flashes.
Augment hot flashes is what she's getting. Yeah,
augment hot flashes.
No, not. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say I don't think it has anything to do with her. I hope they don't make it a thing to where like it's because whenever she gets angry or has a heightened state. Because she's had plenty of those in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
She's had plenty of stressful situations and shit. So I hope it's just a DNA thing.
I'm kind of hoping it's a combination of maybe some specific event that we've already seen where she's exposed to something or some kind of mutagen or illness or something with something going on with all the time traveling that she's been doing, right? And so all of a sudden, these recessive genes, it could even be fucking punching a goddamn dinosaur in the mouth kind of thing. I don't know, but she was exposed to something. And then with all the time traveling, it's just somehow her recessive genes, maybe it's that her recessive genes are activating to protect her because there's some extrasensory thing that these genes can like all of a sudden tell, okay, we're under threat. We need to start taking over here. And that somehow spirals her out into going overboard somehow. I mean, La'an's got to do something. And I don't know. I don't want to see her be a villain necessarily, but I do want to see her be a badass. So
she also has no plot armor. Her fate is unknown.
Basically, I think she has to be dead or somehow, what's the word I'm looking for? Ascended. By the time the show ends. Really, it could even be by the end of this season. It only takes 1 episode to lose a character, Kess.
Speaking of characters we may have lost, I'm not sure. I think I saw Mitchell in the background at some point. I didn't
notice her, but that doesn't mean that she wasn't there.
So until
I did not select her for a very important reason this season.
I liked her. I wish she would have gotten more.
She's
screen
great.
time,
I thought she did a good job. The actress did a good job.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting character to just have. You got to have your secondary helmsman, right? So I think having those junior officers. Oh, we got to talk about the fucking Vulcan intern bitch, but we're gonna get there. But I think it's a shame if they don't have Mitchell on the show.
Well, until proven otherwise, I'm giving her 100 points for being on the ship when it time travels. That's it. Next, Scotty. Also, Scotty did not get a lot of screen time this episode either.
He got a bit. He was
got a bit, but he didn't.
fucking
I mean, he
pain
didn't
in
do
the
much.
ass to Ortegas.
Yeah, he did some funny stuff, but, you know, not.
And then
not
they
a whole
had their
lot.
little collision at the end there, which I thought was totally unnecessary.
Yeah, they're setting up some kind of beef between him and Ortegas.
Yeah, drama
Scoring
for
like-
drama's sake, it sounds like. They want to
how many
fuck and they
points?
know it. How many of you guys are shipping the Scortegas?
Scortegas. Scotty repairing.
Well, you assume that he repaired the antimatter
No,
pod.
he literally says it. He says, "Captain, I've repaired the antimatter pod." So I'm like, "Oh, that counts."
Yeah, I grabbed the tertiary pod and I stuck it in the primary pod slot. We're good to go now.
Okay, so Scotty, he gave him 20 points for doing the transport at the beginning of the episode, 100 points for time traveling, and 15 points for repairing the antimatter pod, bringing his total to 135.
Not the
Uhura,
lowest score.
yeah. Uhura used a pad for 5 points, 100 points for time traveling, 10 points for speaking Vulcan, even though if she didn't get it quite right.
Hey, she did good enough.
Yeah,
I didn't know
good
what
enough.
the fuck she was saying, so she obviously
yeah.
got it good.
She has a drink at the end for 5 points. That brings Uhura's total to 120.
Nice.
Pelia, again, didn't do a whole lot, so unless anyone can make a good argument for her doing something besides just showing up for work. And
She had a
time
Doctor
traveling-
Who reference.
Yeah, okay. There's no category for Doctor Who references.
Well, there should be, because although calling it a phone box instead of a police box is a little bit questionable. And then also, like, at one point she's saying that she has some memory of the shit that they were talking about, but her species isn't that old. They don't live millions of years. They live thousands of years.
They've been intentionally vague about just how long they live. I forgot what they're called. Damn it.
It starts with an L, I think. We're gonna have to find it now. All right.
Yeah.
Click on the thing, and where is...
They've been intentionally vague about their lifespans. She said before she quote
Lanthanite.
Lanthanite, that's right. Yeah, verbatim said we live almost forever. That is vague as fuck. There's a big difference between almost and forever. Like, the gap there is unfathomably huge.
Yeah.
Almost forever.
And that's like they're living on, like, what happened to their home planet? Why are they fucking getting on with everybody
I think
else?
they're so old they don't remember where their home planet came from.
That was the only thing that I was like unnecessary for Starfleet Academy. Well, okay, there's a couple of unnecessary things about Starfleet Academy, but overall, I did like the show, and I want to make that very
let's
clear.
save that for a different podcast.
What's it? Helen Hunt. God, what's the Starfleet commandant? What's
I
her
know
fucking
who
name?
you're talking about. The one
Is
who-
half Lanthanite.
Right.
And so I'm just like, why? That seems, so she's really old. Okay, cool.
Anyway,
Anyway.
okay, so Pelia, all she gets is 100 points for time traveling, unless, I'm sure I'm going to get plenty of people in the comments advocating for their characters, but that's what Fantasy League is all about. Sam Kirk, same thing. He showed up for work today. He was in the episode any time travel for 100
Holly
points.
Hunter, not Helen.
Holly
Yeah,
Hunter. Spock, surprisingly, did not do much. He flirted with Lon and he time traveled. He did reconfigure the thing to do the thing at the end, so I will give him 15 points for that. So I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, he did do some diplomacy with.
Look, any diplomacy in this episode, I'm counting as a failure. All right, everyone sucked at diplomacy.
I mean, if you really think about it, they did a pretty damn good job to go from captives to, all right, get fucked. But like, and that's because they were the Martians were so committed in their mission. But I thought it was a successful interaction for the most part.
If this was a D&D session, that would have been like, 1 point away from failure on their D20 roll.
I mean,
Anyway,
if their
on
dungeon
diplomacy,
master was
yeah.
good enough, he would have planned the whole thing. So they would have like this is a predestination paradox. I think that sounds like a critical success. Just
Anyway.
to survive that shit.
Yeah, now moving on to the VIP of the episode, Una. Una gets 20 points for doing the recap voiceover at the beginning of the episode.
Yep.
Her specific captain bonus, she changed her hairstyle twice in this episode.
Damn.
That's something I noticed about her character early on in Strange New Worlds, is that in Star Trek, it's something I think they do a lot for just to simplify production, is it's Star Trek. Everyone wears the same uniform every single episode. They wear the same thing, and they typically have their hair the same way. Because that makes it easier for the editing team if they need to splice in some old footage somewhere of a character doing something. Then yeah, it's the fact that they wear the exact same thing every episode really helps. But with Una, she's the only one who gets to a variety in her look, and they do that a lot. They always have at least one character in Star Trek who has a variety in their look. Like in TNG, it was Troy.
Yeah.
In DS9, it was Quark.
Yeah.
Enterprise had what's her name? To pull.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's just a thing. Anyway,
well,
it's
in this case, it's because Rebecca Romaine is Mystique.
Yeah, yes,
she changes
exactly.
her hairstyle anytime she wants.
She used a tricorder for 10 points. She shoots a phaser for 15 points.
Shoots it right in the T-Rex's mouth.
Yeah, and I gave her a bonus for incapacitating a T-Rex. That's 50 points because that counts more than just a risk. So 50 points for stunning a T-Rex. Wait, I need to give... That counts when Lon punched the Velociraptor. That counted as defeating an enemy. 100 points for time traveling. She received a promotion at the end of the episode. 25 points. And she drank champagne, bringing Una, our VP for this episode, to 425 points.
Very nice.
And real quick, let me go back and see how many points you get. It's a rando enemy. That's 10 points. So yeah.
Well, we also do know that the Martians get 1,000 points for blowing up a planet. The Martians win.
Once again,
even though they really lose.
Although was the dinosaur really her enemy? I will submit for the record that dinosaur just wanted to be friends. Anyway,
she intimidated it into not fighting. She intimidated
her.
it.
Yeah. And finally, we have our new character, Cadet Asha. She gets 100 points for time traveling. Now,
which is more than she even deserves.
Yeah, she was being full metal Vulcan this episode.
Dude, what kills me though is like Uhura doesn't know how to handle it. It's just like, dude, there's so many moments that she could have thrown like, you never would have experienced something like that at the Vulcan Science Academy. Like, just throw it in her face, be like, oh, well, maybe Starfleet's beneath you, but it sure beats the shit out of the Vulcan Science Academy. That's what I would have done anyway.
There is one important piece here. There is a minus 25 point penalty for being captured by an enemy. And, well, that was the entire ship. So, I'm not sure if I want to, since it's everyone in the episode pretty much, I'm not sure if I want to apply that because it would just be kind of, if it's everyone, then make a referee call and say that it's not a valid penalty. But I'm not clear on if Una, Lon, and
it'd be everyone but the away team.
Yeah, because if that's the case, then they would not be subject to the penalty. By the way, I thought it was kind of cool, but not really, the way the shuttlecraft has that ramp and then the nacelle folds open. I thought that was kind of unnecessary. Like, why would they need to flatten out the nacelle like that?
They always got to do something cool.
Shuttlecraft are cool as it is. You don't need that. Anyway.
Yeah, well, I did like that it was the one shuttlecraft that was working, and it was the Curie.
The Marie Curie, yeah.
Maybe that's why they don't have any other shuttlecraft during the original series, because all these ones got fried and they never replaced them, which doesn't make any goddamn sense. But it was funny that it was the one shuttlecraft that they used every time in the original series.
Yeah, going back here, it looks like by the time the Una and the rest of the away team get back to the Enterprise,
after the ship is released.
The ship has been released, so
But I would say there's a couple of things at play here. One, the ship was disabled of its own accord, right? It was already just sitting there floating. They
Yeah.
just put a tractor beam on it and then started pulling it. Had the
It's still-
Enterprise been fully powered, they never would have been able to do that.
They were
Not
still.
but they called them captives, but they didn't do anything. They didn't take them back to processing. They didn't restrict their movement in any way. They came on board and learned about them and left with like one antimatter pod. So I'd call them thieves more than captors, you know, like realistically, they were going to capture them, but all they ended up doing was, towing them a parsec and then letting them go.
For simplicity's sake, I'll allow it. No penalty for the capture, so that way. Yeah,
You're welcome, gang. You're welcome.
Yeah, because the way our spreadsheet works, this new format that we started last season, formula doesn't allow points to go into the negatives. So a lot of characters would go into the negatives, which means their total would just be 0 for this point, and we don't want to do that in the very first episode.
Yeah.
So there we are. All right, so these scores will be posted shortly here on facebook.com/Dominion Media TV, as well as StarTrekFantasyLeague.com. You head over to that URL, and we are leaving the registration open until August 5th. So until then, listeners, you have time to adjust your team roster if you like. After August 5th, it's locked in. So if you want to swap out any crew members, feel free to do that at any time until August 1st.
If you want to drop Mitchell and pick up Cybok, you could totally still do that.
Man, I am holding out for Cybok. I really want Cybok.
I would like to see him, but I don't think we're gonna.
Oh,
we'll see.
But yeah, I texted you a screenshot of that.
That screenshot, are you sure that's legit? Because it kind of looks photoshopped.
I'll send you. No, it was covered by one of the stars. I'll find the link and I'll send it to you later. I'll even post it on this
just
post,
so people know we're talking about Trelane being in the season.
Yeah, Rhys Darby is supposedly making.
I love Rhys Darby. He's fantastic and a wonderful actor, hilarious person. I wasn't super thrilled to see that Trelane's coming back, just because I think. I think that playing with those kinds of characters too much when they aren't ever introduced until Next Generation, except for the one TOS episode. And then it's like, okay, so you're trying to say that Spock doesn't recognize or remember all of these things that happened. Like, it makes the one-off a little less special. And then it kind of then they are intentionally steering it, are they Q or aren't they Q? And I'm just like, guys, leave it ambiguous. Like, that some of those things I feel like should just stay sacred. But that's just me. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. And I think that's it for us.
Yep. Tiger Mike, where can everyone find you? Thank you for hosting this, by the way.
If you're watching this on the Facebooks, you can find me in the Dominion Media Television Research Lab, the DMTV Research Lab. And then you can friend me from there, or you can find me on the YouTubes at Tiger Dork Ramblings or Tiger Funk Productions. Thanks for joining us. And then we can all find you on the Facebook page and where else?
Facebook.com/Dominion Media TV. Yep.
And on Tiger Dork Ramblings.
And on Tiger Dork Ramblings.
Tiger Dork Ramblings. Almost as often as there's content published. So.
Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later, gang.